Hey guys, so today is a day that I've been waiting for a very long time. Um, and I've never really known how I would react when this day arrived. But one thing I have known is that I wanted to share this moment with you guys online because well, first of all, I don't really have a choice anyway. I'm alone all the time. But the last 4 or 5 years have been spent mostly alone. And I've shared quite a lot of deep and personal experiences with you guys. And it's all of you watching this, whether that be YouTube or like online followers and my audience there, or whether that be close friends around the world. You guys are pretty much probably the biggest part of this entire journey, right? So it makes sense to share it with you now. Basically, the big thing that I'm talking about is my book has arrived. But this is about so much more than just the book, right? Now, the book has been around for almost 2 years as a project. And it's true that this is probably the greatest work of my life so far. Not just the book. I mean, everything that's gone into the book, again, like starting a second company now based off of this project, but, everything from writing a 150-page book and completing it to learning typography and learning book layout design and coordinating a project with 1.3 or 4 different people involved and just bringing a product from start to completion. Not to mention that the subject matter, which is how to maintain foreign languages, is the product of years and years of hard work. And that's really where it begins to get deeper, because again, the product of this is from, this whole insane journey. It began when I was 16, when I left my home country and came to the United States. But it really kicked off when I began learning foreign languages right at the end of my first year of university, when I was 19 or 18 at the time. And so this is 8 years of extremely, extremely hard work, but also it has been the craziest journey. And so I feel somehow that this moment, this day, is kind of almost like the summit of this first really huge mountain that I've been climbing. And so this is really, really special to me. So I'm going to open it now and show you guys what I've produced. Oh my God. Oh. There it is. That's the back. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's all here. God. There it is. Let's see. There's a table of contents. And we have introduction. And chapter 1. And then we have things all throughout. We have these beautiful illustrations from Alexandra Nazario. Look at these big full-page photographs. This is really weird. Gotta hold it together. We have these comic strips at the back of every chapter. So every chapter has a chapter summary and a comic. So it's like every chapter you're getting a new chapter of a comic as well. Well, I can't make this too long. I just wanted to take this moment to finally get out a few things that I've been needing to say for years. Um, so, the path I've been on since I started learning foreign languages, again, it was near the end of, well, halfway through my first year of university, which was already a rough time. I had already come across the world to the US, and things had not been going well at all for the first 2 years here. Um, and I had decided I wanted to study in Japan. I wanted to go live in Japan and study abroad there. So I began teaching myself Japanese. Now, I had been learning Spanish for a couple of years before that. And understand that I'm someone who, when I was a kid, was useless in school. I always felt deeply, deeply misunderstood. I was also sort of a half Iraqi child living in a village, a small village in England, and though I had not realized it at the time, I think that may have played a part in the fact that I was constantly blamed for everything when I was growing up. Some things I did wrong, but every single little thing that could happen, I was the immediate choice of blame, which carried through into secondary school, where I went to secondary school in a very rough town, in a place where I knew nobody, and was always sort of the target of all sorts of stuff, being called a Paki and all kinds of racial slurs and derogatory terms. But it goes far beyond that. I was always misunderstood. And, I remember that I always felt stupid, right? And I think everybody thought I was stupid in school. And I remember being told that I would never speak a foreign language and that I should just stop. And I stopped taking French classes early in high school. And I just remember always feeling so sort of hopeless and so weak. And it was like sports was all I had, right? And I remember I always had this sort of ferocious tenacity when it came to just like working hard and trying to cultivate my skills with sports, right? Whether it be football and then later basketball. Like with basketball, I began playing basketball when I was almost 14 years old, which is when most people in the US that are going to do anything big are already about to start playing varsity basketball in high school. And I worked like an absolute maniac. And 2.5 years later, I came to the United States and I was playing basketball for a high school here. And then I ended up going to a top 100 clinic for Reebok up in Washington, D.C. And that didn't work out. But the point is that sort of, I don't know, that fire that I always had, I directed it all towards sports because that was the only thing I thought I was good at. And when I began trying to learn Spanish and on my own, and I realized that, like, oh my God, I think I can do this. And then finally, when I started university and began learning Japanese, that was the first time in my life where I directed all of that sort of tenacity and I sort of focused it on academic subjects or more of an intellectual pursuit. And the transformation I've gone through over the last 8 years since this began, it's been incredible. And it's changed my view on the world and on my outlook on life in such a massive, massive, massive way. And that shift has informed almost everything I've done. All the people I have been able to reach, to talk to sort of impact, most of it comes from that single shift of realizing that I wasn't useless and I wasn't stupid, and always wondering how many people out there are like I was, right? Who grow up thinking that they're not clever, that they're incapable of doing things, that whatever they may be, and how many people never realize that it's not true, right? And that's what has just fueled this passion for sharing content online, for wanting to just put good things out into the world, for wanting to reach more people, for wanting to grow my influence, and just, if nothing else, spread that message that yes, you can learn a foreign language, and yes, you can improve, right, your intellectual capacities and what I think, right? Because I've seen it in myself. I've seen my memory transform like I would never have imagined over the process of just pushing my brain further and further and further. And every time I thought I could never learn a language faster than that, oh my God, you know, and then I push it and I smash the limitations I put even on myself. And so, but that journey has been cripplingly difficult. I mean, it has been like I can't even find the word for just how challenging and frankly like painful that journey has been. Right now, there have been some amazing times, and some of the people I've met over those years have been absolutely phenomenal. And there are, of course, so many things about these last 5 years that have just filled me with joy, right, and happiness. But my second year of university, I was homeless for 11 months. My third year of university, I found out that I had cancer. And I remember just being so confused throughout that time. Like, why was this happening to me? And then I remember that I worked so hard to go to Japan, right? And to have a great experience in Japan. And it started out so well, but I got screwed because I did a favor. As always, because I tried to help somebody who was a client who hired me to be their Japanese interpreter, and I ended up losing $2,000 to work for them. So when I arrived in Kyoto for my study abroad, I was totally screwed. And I remember the day when I realized that I wasn't going to make it. I've definitely realized tonight that I actually may not have enough money. I don't think I can eat more than once a day, for sure. But, you know, even if I do that at this point, I'm not sure if I could actually make it until the next semester. And I remember that it took me the longest time, such a long time, to get over that, to move past that, years. But I remember, like, you know, for example, being in England and working, I was earning minimum wage as a receptionist, couldn't find a job, and half of my income was going towards paying student loans. And after 7 months, I had only managed to save £1,000, and I said, enough. and I chased my dreams, and I moved to Paris with the hope of the world in my heart. And 3.5 weeks later, that crashed. Because £1,000 is not enough money to move to Paris with. And then I remember like moving to the Netherlands, and then I ended up in France just looking for work there, and then I ended up in Lisbon, Portugal, working for Expedia France, and it was an awful situation. I remember like I worked so hard to go live in Germany because I thought I saw opportunity there, I saw a better standard of living, and in 6 weeks I learned to speak moderately fluent German, right? I arrived in Germany after 6 weeks of insanely intense studying. That was the most I ever pushed my brain in the limits of language learning for myself. I arrived in Germany and I was able to do everything in German. Ja, ich habe meine erste Fahrkarte gekauft. Hallo, also ich bin hier in Leipzig und ich bin sehr, sehr, sehr glücklich, weil ich gerade einen neuen Pullover gekauft habe und ich habe auch eine neue Telefonkarte gekauft. Alle auf Deutsch. Also es war sehr, sehr, sehr. Das hat viel Spaß gemacht und ja, es ist mein erster Tag in Deutschland und die erste Uhr und ich habe schon
Ja, 1 Uhr auf Deutsch gesprochen.
And I was so happy there. It was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. Oh my god, I'm just so happy. Every like corner and second that I turn, I just see new, beautiful, amazing things. Look at that! Look at that lovely square opening out there. There's this nice cafe. Ah, this is wonderful. Look at this little square. The man in his awesome yellow trousers with his red jumper. I'm gonna have to copy that colour scheme, absolutely. I just love it, look at this. Oh, I'm just so happy to be here, honestly. Something feels different and something feels right, and I just love it. And I immediately just felt like I belonged, right? I made friends with two beautiful, amazing people named Azza and Marianne. They were both two girls from Iran who became like family to me, who took such good care of me. They never let me leave their apartment without food in a bag, and I used to run around the Ulster with Azza, who was just, again, one of the most beautiful, wonderful people I've ever met in my life. And I met an amazing guy named Charbel, who was from Lebanon, who became a great friend of mine, and also a woman named Christina. And before you knew it, I had this little community. I had coffee shops that I liked, where I knew all the workers. I had a restaurant called L'Ultima Cena with the manager, Massimo, who I would talk to all the time. And then I started my job after a month of that. Loved it. 4th day, found out they lost their largest investor and they let go half of the company. The level of disappointment, of just soul-crushing disappointment, you know, over and over and over again, was tough. I decided, that's it. Like, I have things like the book that needs to be done. It needs to get finished. I cannot allow this project to disappear. And I need to fix my living situation. I need to finally start. I can't be homeless anymore. I've been homeless about 6 times for a collective probably 2.5 to 3 years total time. You know, I'm 26. I've worked extremely hard in my life so far, harder than most people I've met around me. And I have some pretty interesting and unique skill sets, and yet every month I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep the lights on. So I took a hiatus. I disappeared for almost 8 months. Almost no one has heard from me. And in that time, I went from having never ever written code in my life to learning how to not only design and build up, like not only design applications and websites, but build them, code them on the front and the back end, as essentially a full stack developer and a designer. And I finished the book, I coordinated that project, and I worked myself almost to death. And now it's done. This is really a huge day for me. It's one of the biggest turning points of my life, I think. I still have my language skills and everything I ever learned from 2 years of entrepreneurship and freelancing and living all around the world. But I also now, at last, have a skill set that is actually valued on a job market with my programming skills and my design skills. Somehow, I just feel so empowered right now to create, to publish, and to make an impact in one way or another. And I think I finally know how I can do that best for myself. I'm just really glad that you guys watch and consume the content that I publish and produce and support me. So thank you so much. And I need to get this website off the ground and spend about a week writing letters and emails to people who haven't heard from me, including my best friend in Helsinki. So thank you guys again, and with love.